Today, I'd like to introduce Naruto-san's newsletter and delve deeper into the topic.
Naruto-san is a thinker who consistently shares unique perspectives on Earth's future, soul growth, and living in the AI era, right?
Yes, he has published 10 books so far.
Wow, that's a significant body of work. And looking at this newsletter, it really feels less like a review and more like a diagnostic report on, I don't know, the modern human condition.
It really does.
He's tackling something that I think every single one of us is feeling right now, whether we can put a name to it or not.
It's that background hum, isn't it?
Yeah.
That constant low-level anxiety. Usually when we do a deep dive, we're looking at something specific, a market crash, a new piece of tech.
Right, a single event.
Exactly. But Naruto is zooming out, way out. He's basically arguing this vibe shift we all feel. It's not just a bad news cycle. He thinks the fundamental premises of our era are collapsing.
It's a heavy concept to start with, but it rings so true. He talks about how the correct answers are getting blurry, the stuff we used to call common sense. It just doesn't seem to apply anymore. And he's not just talking about being confused. He means the actual maps we use to navigate life are disintegrating.
Right, which sets up our mission for this deep dive perfectly.
Yeah.
We're not here to just, doom scroll through the end of the world. The real question is, if the external map is broken, how do we build an internal compass? Because that's the only thing that's going to get us through this, according to Naruto.
Okay, so let's unpack that broken map idea first, because
Okay.
it sounds poetic, but he gets pretty specific about what's destabilizing.
He does.
He mentions economic premises are changing, political legitimacy is shaking, media trust is just crumbling.
And then the big one, artificial intelligence stepping into the realm of human judgment.
Yeah.
That one really sticks with me. I mean,
Yeah.
It used to be we'd argue about what the truth was.
Yeah.
Now we have machine generating truth.
Yeah.
And we can't even agree on the standard for what's real anymore.
Exactly. It's like trying to play a game where the rules change every 10 minutes. And to explain this disorientation, he brings in Thomas Kuhn.
Okay, so Kuhn, the paradigm shift guy.
Yep.
Now, that's a phrase that gets thrown around in boardrooms a lot, usually to sell a new app or something. What did he actually mean?
Well, in the original context, a paradigm shift isn't just a small change. It's a moment in history where common sense literally flips upside down.
Oh, okay. Like the Earth not being the center of the universe.
That's the perfect example, the shift from geocentrism to heliocentrism. Before that shift, common sense told you the sun revolved around us. You could see it.
Of course.
But after the shift, that same common sense became laughable. Naruto is basically saying, we're in one of those moments right now. The old rules, go to school, get a safe job, retire at 65, trust the institutions.
That's the geocentric model.
Exactly. We're all watching it fail, but the new heliocentric model hasn't quite solidified yet.
So we're just stuck in the messy middle. That explains the vertigo. And he pairs Kuhn with Zygmunt Bauman.
Right.
The liquid modernity concept.
Yes.
I found this metaphor to be, I think, the most helpful one in the whole piece.
It's essential. Bauman argued that social structures, they used to be solid. A career for life, a nuclear family, a clear national identity.
We were containers.
They were containers, exactly. They held their shape, and because they were solid, they held you.
Which sounds a little restrictive, maybe, but also safe. You knew where the walls were.
Right. But now, Bauman says, we're in liquid modernity. Society itself has liquefied. Structures can't hold their shape anymore. They flow, they spill, they change constantly.
So careers become gigs, relationships are transactional, information just floods across borders.
You got it. It feels like trying to build a house on a river instead of on bedrock. The ground itself is flowing away from under you.
And Naruto makes this really crucial point. He says we aren't just fighting over what the correct answer is anymore.
No.
We're in a crisis where the standards for deciding what is correct are wavering.
That's the terrifying part.
Yeah, it's not just I don't know the answer, it's the test itself is melting.
That's the key. And that's why we're seeing so much irrationality, so many contradictions. We're being forced to make these really unreasonable choices.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the world is turning to liquid, which is stressful enough.
Yeah.
But, when people get terrified, they react. And Naruto's take on how our egos handle this is was fascinating.
It is. We don't just sit back and enjoy the swim, do we?
Not at all.
It's a defense mechanism. When the world feels uncertain, we instinctively cling to rightness. We grasp for anything that feels solid to reduce the anxiety.
So it's like, if I can just prove that I am 100% right and you are 100% wrong,
Yeah.
then the world will make sense again.
Yes.
And that explains so much of social media. It's just a battlefield of people desperately trying to nail down one solid plank in the middle of this vast, confusing ocean.
A perfect image, it creates this binary, I'm right, you're wrong, my side is good, your side is evil. But Naruto says that's the ego. And in a liquid era, that view is it's too brittle. It breaks. And when it breaks, it leads to conflict.
And this is where he brings in Carl Jung, which I love, the concept of the shadow.
Mm-hmm.
For listeners who maybe just know Jung from dream analysis, how does the shadow fit into all this?
This is where it gets really psychological. Jung's shadow is all the parts of ourselves we repress or deny. The stuff we refuse to see in ourselves.
Yeah. What does that have to do with the news?
Well, Naruto's argument is that when we get incredibly, intensely angry at the unreasonableness of the outside world, we're often projecting our own shadow.
Hold on. So if I'm screaming at my phone because everyone else is an idiot or that person is a hypocrite, I might actually be fighting a part of myself.
It's a tough pill to swallow, isn't it?
Yeah.
But look at the intensity. If you see something wrong and just think, oh, that's incorrect, that's just an observation. But if you are filled with rage, if you're obsessively doom scrolling and battling strangers online, Naruto suggests you're projecting an internal conflict onto an external screen.
You're yelling at the mirror because you don't like the reflection.
Precisely. And the consequence of this, he says, is just total exhaustion. If you focus all your energy on trying to correct the outside world, trying to force the liquid back into a solid cold, you will drain yourself.
I think we've all been there.
Oh, yeah.
You spend all day angry at the state of things, and by the end of the day, you're just empty. And you haven't actually changed anything out there. You've just wrecked your own peace.
And that emptiness, it leads right into his next point about suffering and attachment. He brings in Buddhist teachings here.
Right. Suffering comes from attachment.
But he frames it specifically for this liquid era. He talks about how the role of things like work, money, family, status, how it's shifted for us.
This part really hit close to home for me.
You too. In a solid world, those things are, good to have. They're assets. But in a liquid world where a lot of the old support systems, community, religion have dissolved for people, we treat these external things like lifelines.
They go from things that are good to have to things I will collapse without.
That's the dangerous shift.
Yeah, that's when the job title isn't just what you do. It's who you are.
It is. If work equals your self-worth or money is your only source of safety, what happens when the liquid era washes them away? Because in this era, things do get washed away.
You have an identity crisis.
Yeah.
You don't just lose a job. You feel like you're losing yourself. It's like a death.
It is. And Naruto's point is that because the era is liquid, these external attachments will be shaken. It's just inevitable. So if you can't learn to overcome that attachment, if you can't separate who you are from what you have, then suffering is basically guaranteed.
Okay, so this feels like the pivot point of the whole deep dive. The world is liquid. Clinging to old solids causes suffering. So what's the alternative?
This is the core test of our time. He talks about a shift from external standards to internal standards.
What does he mean by that?
Well, previously it was pretty easy to live by external metrics, right? Grades, test scores, company brands, income. They were clear markers of success. They give you a sense of safety.
It was like a giant scoreboard that everyone could see. You knew if you were winning.
Exactly. But as Austin Naruto says, when external criteria crumble, those valuations go haywire. Something that was valuable yesterday might be worthless tomorrow. Just look at how AI is disrupting entire industries.
Oh, absolutely. So if your self-worth was tied to being an expert in something an AI can now do in 2 seconds, the external scoreboard just got turned off.
It did. So the real question becomes, what do you value? Not what does the market value or what does social media value, but what do you value?
Can you hold on to that internal standard when the external applause just vanishes?
That's the test. And to really drive this point home, Naruto quotes Viktor Frankl.
And Frankl was a psychiatrist who survived the concentration camps. So his perspective here carries a kind of weight that's, well, it's hard to ignore.
It absolutely does. Frankl famously said that the last human freedom, the one that can never be taken away, is the freedom to choose one's attitude.
That is so powerful.
It's the ultimate internal standard. In the camps, everything was gone. The external world was hell. But he realized that even there, he had sovereignty over his own mind. The attitude you take toward your circumstances, that's your choice.
And Naruto is saying the more the external world breaks down, the more that specific choice defines us.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is all about moving from external validation to an internal attitude. He calls this living true to the soul. Now, I have to be the skeptic for a second.
Go for it.
Sometimes when people say listen to your soul, it can sound a bit fluffy, you know,
a little abstract, yeah.
like something you'd see on a coffee mug. But Naruto seems pretty specific here.
He is. He's very clear. This isn't about just doing whatever you feel like. It's about the quality of the drive behind your actions.
Okay.
So living true to the soul means choosing from a place of quiet conviction rather than from a place of fear. It means judging from a calm, aligned state instead of from anger.
I like that distinction he makes between meaning and approval. Am I doing this because it feels meaningful or because I want people to like me?
That's the core question. And he actually breaks it down into 5 essential skills or powers that he thinks we're all being tested on right now.
Okay, let's run through them. This sounds like the practical toolkit people need. The first one is the power to not be swallowed by anxiety.
And notice the phrasing there, not don't feel anxiety. That's impossible.
Right.
It's don't be swallowed by it. Anxiety is the weather in a liquid world. The skill is to see it, acknowledge it, but not let it drive the bus.
You are to the sky. The anxiety is just a cloud passing through.
Exactly. Then there's the power to not project your shadow. This goes back to Jung. It's about asking, what is this situation triggering in me, instead of just screaming at the scream.
The third one is the power to loosen attachment.
The Buddhist element. Realizing that clenching your fist tighter actually increases the fear of loss. You have to learn to hold things lightly.
Number 4, power to suspend judgment. That is a tough one today. Everyone wants a hot take in 5 seconds.
Because the ego hates not knowing. It wants to be right, and it wants it now. The soul, he says, is okay with ambiguity. It has the strength to just say, I don't know yet, let's wait and see.
That's a rare superpower. And the last one.
Quiet self-responsibility. It's about not blaming the outside world, owning your attitude.
Yeah.
You can't control the waves, but you can choose how you surf them.
Now, just before we wrap up, Naruto drops this really interesting warning about something he calls the spiritual ego. What's that?
This is such a crucial point. It's a trap. When you start doing this inner work, you can start to think, oh, look at me, I'm so spiritually evolved. I'm so much calmer than all these other people who are panicking.
I've transcended the matrix, unlike you peasants.
Yes, that thought right there. That's just the ego sneaking in the back door wearing a monk's robe. It's still about feeling superior.
So you have to constantly check yourself. Is this impulse coming from a place of superiority or a genuine place of love or meaning?
Right. And he has a great rule of thumb for it. Ego is loud. Soul is quiet.
I like that.
If your inner voice is shouting and making demands, it's probably ego. If it's a quiet, steady pull towards something meaningful, that's more likely the soul.
So bringing this all together, the world is shaking, our old structures are dissolving into this liquid modernity. But his message, it isn't pessimistic, is it?
Not at all. He suggests this era isn't trying to weed us out. It's urging us to mature.
I love that framing. It's not an apocalypse, it's growing pains.
It is. When the outside world is stable, you can kind of stay immature forever. You can lean on the rules and structures to hold you up, but when the outside shakes, you have to grow up. You have to find your own center.
It's an invitation to become an adult, in the deepest sense of that word.
Exactly. It's a shift from external validation to internal maturity. We're being asked to navigate without a map, using only that internal compass.
It really changes how you look at the morning news. Instead of just, look how bad things are, it's more like, okay, how will I choose to respond to this? What is this trying to teach me?
And in the end, that's the only question that really matters.
Well, I think that's the perfect place to leave it.
I'd like to conclude by posing one question to everyone.
Go for it.
We are standing at a historical turning point. Will you meet this transition with fear and confusion, or will you choose to see it as an opportunity for maturity and awakening?